Hello everyone, we're here in the backyard apiary. We have 3 dead outs out of the 5 hives that I had going into winter. We're going to get in the Apiary hive right now just to break it down, examine what happened, see what we can figure out. We have some burr comb here on top. I'm just going to peel off real quick, and I just throw it in my handy quick bucket here. Good to have an extra container to store your burr comb. So that way you can melt it down for later and you don't leave it in the bee yard to attract any pests. So this super has got a little bit of honey left on it right here. And by the way, I'm David and Jordan is filming today.
Hello.
She's the one that you saw on the first video. So the bees have been robbing this out. You can look down in here. There's some cappings. So it looks like we have the bees. They've just been robbing this super out. Well, still a little bit of honey left on here. I'll probably leave this out in the yard today. It's 54 degrees on March 3rd. We're here in central Indiana. So let's break down into the next box. This super is empty. We got some bees coming in and out. Oh, that's your propolis. Pop that off. And here's our cluster. Get to that in a second. Break these frames free. Oh, we still got a lot of honey in here. Probably use these on some other hives. So I'm not quite sure why these bees didn't make the winter, considering there's so much honey for them to have. I put some extra sugar on top of the hive to give them some extra food, just in case they did run out of honey. This one's mostly empty. Some old comb here. I'll probably melt that down this year. Still a little honey on it. Probably use that for a split to begin with. And here's our what was left of our cluster. I don't see the queen. I think this one just died because there's too few bees. We'll get down to the next. Oh man, lots of honey. See all that honey there. So I'm going to reset this Apiary hive this year. I started out with 2 hives. I had it split down the middle. There's still plenty of food in this hive. And then the one side died, so I took the split out so they could work both sides. But so it wasn't because of lack of food. I think it was just because of lack of bees. The cluster just got too small. Probably didn't have much room to lay at one point here. I mean, that looks like it was all brood at one point. So that's the end of that one. And we have another hive over here.
Okay.
Looks like there's some frames in here at the end. Yep, they didn't draw these at all. There's still some honey in here. We got a bee robbing it out right now. Looks like they put some sugar down in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had some sugar on this hive too.
So we just have 2 hives back here right now?
Yes. Honey I threw over here. Down. Over here's our cluster. These free. Clustered up good. It's starting to mold. We'll clear that out and let the bees rob it out. Here's our cluster. So I don't know if they died on the coldest night. Look at all those bees. Look how they were all clustered
It get
together.
pretty cold this past winter with the negative temperatures.
We had a couple really cold days in December. I think that's what happened here. There's plenty of food still, but you can see they just died. A lot of bees die in a cluster. That's the sad part of beekeeping, when you lose a hive like this. They had plenty of food. There's still a lot of pollen in there and honey above them. You just end up scraping these bees off. And then you can see that they got inside the comb. And usually what I do to get rid of those is I just pound them out. You can see they can start coming out. You gotta be careful. You don't want to ruin your comb if it's not attached all the way. That's the sad part of beekeeping right here. Had so many bees. There's still some brood. They started brooding up at some point. So that's that one. Very sad. So, well, what I want to do here is I want to end up moving this hive. There's still 8 frames in this hive, and this hive's still alive. You can see how they're coming out on this side here. So I'm going to clean this up some more off camera, and then we'll get back to the bees here. All right, stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I need the pen.
Very important if you're wearing gloves to have a pen with this little squishy part on top of it if you're filming. All right, and we're back. We'll start with smoking these bees. Just to calm them down a bit. I'll crack this open. I get these ratchet straps at Harbor Freight. This from my Queen Castle. I had these on this side here. I checked it earlier. It had died out. I'm gonna have to clean all these inner covers. But here's the cluster on this one. I think this one might have starved. There's no food. Barely anything there. They're robbing this one out too. what we're going to do is we're going to take the 10 best frames and stick them in this hive. But look at that. This sad. Just didn't get enough food for them. So get onto this side here. Smoke ready. Check here. There's a hive beetle. Let's push that. We got some live bees. I had sugar on top of these, and you can see they're eating that pretty good. So, squish too many bees. Just set that on this side. Hive beetles in. We're going to be looking for brood. If we find the queen, we're going to make sure that she was marked from last year. Last year's color was red. This year's color is green. Let's pull it up slowly. We got all pollen in here. So you can see the pollen. Empty on this side. So we're going to drop that. Try to keep it in the same order until we get to the bottom. Let's see what we got down there. Oh yeah, we got brood on this side. Brood on that side. Looking for the queen. On this side. I'm not seeing the queen. I see pollen on this bee here. Doing a little waggle dance. Telling the other bees where to find the pollen. I'm not seeing the queen. We got some eggs and some larvae down there at the bottom below the brood. So looking good. Left these beetle traps in. Doesn't hurt anything. I use diatomaceous earth in my beetle traps. Oil gets messy. Diatomaceous doesn't. Usually the bees seal it up pretty good. Oh yeah, more brood here. Another waggle dance going on there in the middle. Still looking for the queen. See our bee waggle dancing here. This side, looking for the queen. Got a lot of pollen going on over here. Don't want to break up the brood. So I'm going to put that right next to the other one. It's a little early. We're here, early March. I usually don't manipulate my hives until April, but I think this is going to need room to grow. It seems like it's going to be pretty warm. Still looking for the queen. This is all pollen. There's no brood on this one, so I'm going to leave a space. I'm going to see if I can find an empty frame to put in. I didn't see the queen, but she's there somewhere. You don't always have to find the queen. I usually like to find my queen once a year. Brush here. Brush these bees down. You can see the queen on the side here. Always squashing beetles. Alright. Let's see what we got here on this frame. We're going to confuse the bees a little bit by swapping their hive out so soon. This is an empty. This is exactly what we want. Put next to the hive here, next to the brood in the hive. Scrape this burr comb off. Set that up there for now. Just get it right. That'll give the queen room to lay. And then we're going to check these other frames. I have not drawn these at all. These are the plastic frames from the Apiary. So I'm going to let those go. Got some pollen here. Throw that in here. That gives us six frames. Give them this honey. It's not a completely drawn frame, but it's got a lot of honey on it. We'll get more of the honey side. We'll pull this frame out later in the year. And this has a little honey on it. We'll stick that on this side. Close that up. And you can see, you can find another good frame. Got some pollen on it. We're going to squeeze that. It's 2, 4, 6, 8. Stick this out here on the edge. Need one more frame for the edge here. Stick this back in here. Let's check this. It's not drawn. Dead bees, yep. These bees starved to death, unfortunately. They were doing so well. Too many bees, not enough food. I should have put them into a bigger hive, probably. Let's see what else we got left here. That's a pretty good drawn comb here. We're going to throw that on the outside here. Well, I'm going to have to manipulate this one. This comb's a little too fat for this one to go in. There we go. Another one that when you don't have drawn comb next to it, it will draw out into the other frame, and then you end up with a problem like this. You can fix that later in the season. And actually, I'm going to put that super on top of this one. has a little weight in it. Give the bees a chance to move up into it. I wanted them to draw comb from my queen castle, which they did draw. They did draw some of it. So we'll use that later. We'll use all this food here. Use a brush, just lightly brush them off. Down in the box here, make sure the queen's in there or not. If you want to move over to the side so they can get more light in the box, you can see. There we go. We don't see the queen. Here's another hive beetle. Squish that. Look at all the pollen they're bringing in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these bees, drop them right on top of there. Another hive beetle. Brush these off. This. Set it right back where they were. I'll knock my bricks. And we'll fix that in a minute. I just want to get these bees back on top of here. Take my smoke, grab the bees off the lid here. And there we go. We'll put this one back together. Move on to our next hive. And we're back. The other hive, we're going to take a quick look into it. A little smoke, bringing in pollen. Lid off. Use this newspaper, extra insulation on top. Take all this off. Weather projection for the next month is like the lowest it's supposed to be is like 40 degrees. Gotta flip the inner cover over so it has no room. Smoke out here. No queen on the inner cover. And they still have plenty of honey in these supers. Plenty of honey. Don't have to worry about adding any sugar or anything. This one I left with 9, so I had a little more space to fill them up more. Pop that on. Take the sugar out. This super looks like they've gotten into pretty good. Almost finished it. We might reverse these. Food source closer to them. That's pretty much empty. They're eating the last of the honey here. Putting some pollen up here. I'm gonna have to stop that. Putting pollen up here. The thing is, there's no brood yet. Probably toss a queen excluder in here. Reverse these boxes. Okay. Sorry, I'm kind of forgetting that you're there. Got to speak up a little bit. These bees are really good at propolizing everything. So I have to really push down. I say propolis is antimicrobial, so it helps keep the hive clean, infection free. Back into the next. When I put my frames in, I mark them the year that I put them in, that I want them drawn. So this one was from last year, and they still have plenty of honey in it. The next one. And we got plenty of honey there. Looking for brood, looking for the queen. More honey. bringing in pollen. And here's our cluster bees. So we should have brood here. Yep, just a little bit up here at the top. Looks like we got eggs, so we might have a queen nearby. Looking for the queen. I'll give you some more sunlight there. Nothing on this side. I don't see the queen. Blow on it with your breath and moves them around sometimes. Oh, there's a hive beetle. And their life. So even with the beetle traps in all winter, they didn't. There we go, we got some brood here. Oh, I think I just saw a beetle. Yep. Beetle right there. Looking for the queen. I don't see it. I'd like to get rid of that beetle if I could. It's brood on this side. I don't see the queen. She's here somewhere. Looks like she just started laying. So this is going to be a small hive. They don't get moving. Just starting out. Small cluster that's still left here. Oh, there's plenty of pollen there. Look at all the pollen they brought in. So we're just going to stick this back together. Shrink this hive down. Should be able to find the queen though. Let's take another quick look. Yep, there she is. Right here. She's marked with a yellow dot. So she's a couple years old. I said last year's dot was red. So she's a good looking queen though, but she's getting old. So she will be replaced this year. I don't know how we didn't see her the first time. But that's like why I like to mark my queens. You know what year they're from. I'm just going to set this back down gently. Slowly put these bees back together. Alright, so we do have a good hive. Just going to take a little while for that queen to get going. I'm going to keep this honey closer to them. Plenty of food. You don't want to get too close because you want to make sure the queen still has room to lay, which she does. So we'll slide this together. Drop our honey back in here. Alright, that's a quick check here. We're going to head over to the garden bees next. Catch you over there. See you then.